You are a B2B service-based business owner, and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact, and more revenue in your business. Tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Christine Campbell-Rappin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers that convert consistently. We'll see you all on the inside. All right, if you have ever thought about getting more visible, you will have heard here on this show, it's not just about visibility, it's getting visible in the right way, in the right rooms, by the right people. And we're going to give you the shortcut today. I am so excited to get to play with a friend of mine who is all about $1 million visibility. Please give a very warm welcome to our guest today, Melanie Benson. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to talk about this because truthfully, so many people desire impact. They want more reach. And yet the ROI of the time bomb that they're spending is epically short of what it should be. I want to talk to you about this. Lead us into what are we doing wrong right out of the gate? What's the elephant in the room when it comes to visibility?
Well, I think the biggest thing that, having done this for almost 24 years and coached so many really amazing experts who feel like a best kept secret, the biggest thing is people believe that just sharing their message and having a really nice conversation is going to drive people to work with them. They think, oh, that should get them on my email list. They're going to want whatever I'm offering. They're going to book a consult. They're going to reach out and ask me to work with them. And it's not enough. Like a great conversation may intrigue people, but we oftentimes are missing some key ingredients that turn those nice conversations into powerful lead generating machines.
And that's the point. That's it right there on the head. I'm so glad you went there because it isn't about a nice conversation. I mean, yes, we want them, but our goal from visibility is lead generation. And if you have a marketing strategy that is not leading to qualified leads, it's broken and it needs correction. And so
optimizing, right?
Optimize, like, busy is not the same as effective. And I want a heck of a lot more people running successfully in their world of business. But I'm shocked. You have a statistic for us that it's a lot of people that are failing to monetize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like 75% of the experts who are guesting on podcasts, who are doing video, they're creating these amazing videos. They're doing shows like this. They're maybe even a guest on someone's summit. They turn to me, and this is my own data based on what's coming to me, because I have a lot of these conversations with colleagues and clients. And they're like, I'm doing all the things and it's not working. I'm not getting leads. I'm not seeing a result. And what's heartbreaking for me, Christine, I think we talked a little bit about this when we chatted last, that these people give up on it. They're like, I can't do something. You hit the nail on the head. Like, busy is not going to pay the bills. Effective pays the bills, and we need to be effective. And there's such tiny little tweaks that we can make to the approach that we're doing to have massive results.
Yeah. But
we're just winging it. Like, this is one of the key mistakes people make, is they're winging it. They're just doing what they think will work instead of doing what's proven to work.
Oh, and this comes out. You and I had been chatting is about my event, which we just had, the Heroes of High Ticket Business Growth Virtual Summit. And one of the biggest comments that came out was, the light bulb for me is, if I don't have a plan, I'm planning to fail. Mm. And I'm like, ding, 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 light bulb. Everyone else in the room, stop what you're doing and hear that. Because this is what I think is so hopeful. And this is what I also say, like, we win with this strategy. We win with visibility. We win with clients, relationships, opportunities, because it is about the small tweaks that we're making. And that's just a little visibility, but you actually think like $1 million opportunity. Why do you call it $1 million opportunities? Because you and I both know not many people are getting there, although we heck of a lot more are there, but $1 million are out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's an untapped $1 million result that most people are either in disbelief over, or they're like, I could never reach that. But before I dig into that, I just want to take one little step back and say something I think that could be oftentimes the elephant in the room. And that is, I think sometimes people don't believe in themselves, right? They don't believe in their message enough. They don't believe in having a strategy because they're so worried that if they create a strategy or a plan and it doesn't work for them, what is that actually going to mean? Or, and this is what I think happens even more sometimes, Christine, is people think if I plan something, I'm going to lose my spontaneity. I can't be authentic in the moment, right? And I want to say, and you can have a plan, you can be strategic, and you can continue to have your most authentic, most powerful, most in the moment realness that has a better result. Like, oh my gosh, I could go on and on, but I know we have limited time. So let's just say you're not losing anything about who you are and your authenticity and your ability to pivot and do what needs to be done. But a lack of a plan is definitely not going to get you the result you want. So how did I get to $1 million visibility? Why am I building this message and putting this out there in the world? And that's really, like, this is 24 years in the making. When I started my business, at the time this is airing, it will have been 23 years and 8.5 months, I think. So right around there. And what I discovered very quickly as a new coach out in the market, at this time, Christine, this may be hard to fathom, but people didn't even know what coaching was. Like, it's not the
They still don't.
yeah, like literally, Facebook didn't exist, Twitter, X didn't exist, Instagram, nothing, none of that existed. And nobody knew what coaching was. And I realized very quickly that I had no authority. I had no ability to articulate what I did. All I had was two things: the willingness to do whatever it takes to get results, to be uncomfortable, to do the things that were a little, I'm like, really? Oh no, I got to face that limiting belief or that fear and do that. I had the willingness, and I also had the ability to lead, because that's what my training was in corporate America. And so I found that going through this process of building relationships, being a connector, because I was also a great connector, leading events, I started to activate what I now call the authority trifecta. I was in a position of authority. I was leading events. I was inviting people to come speak at my events. And then those people were like, oh my God, this is amazing visibility. What can I do for you? Well, where can I speak? And they started inviting me to speak on their stages, on their teleseminars. Next thing I know, I had more clients than I could keep up with. I had so many speaking, because back then it was more about speaking rather than podcasting, but there were so many invitations to share my message on other platforms. And this, like, compounding, exponentially ripple affecting experience happened. And within 3.5 years of that moment, I had made $1 million with the visibility that other people had generated for me. And I started to realize this is replicatable. We can do this over and over and over again in any market with any kind of platform or presencing. And it's just simply about being intentional, recognizing that if you can start somewhere, whether you're borrowing other people's visibility streams by being a guest somewhere else, or initiating with your own show or platform, which is so easy with the technology today, that you absolutely can kick this off and start creating. I don't care if you want 6 figures in revenue, high 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, whatever your goal is. It starts with getting the right message in front of the right audiences, and then exponentially compounding that with this process I teach.
I love the compound effect, because this is the truth. And we know that not everyone got out of bed today thinking $1 million was possible, desirable, or even in the realm of me and what I'm capable of. And I love that we talk about the compound effect, because the big difference I say when I'm working with clients is I have 100% certainty I will be here in 18 months. How about you?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
the opportunities that come today often are crescendoing from things that were opened a while ago. But if we focus on the relationships, we're clear on our message and saying, play and stay in the game. But to your point, it's not just about being visible. It's what are we inviting the movement to? And when someone is offering an opportunity, it's okay to embrace reciprocity and do things not with the expectation of it. Because
Yes.
you don't know where that seed gets planted. but planting is your job.
Yes. And every time you're sharing your message, whether you're on a platform that's reaching millions of people or you're on a platform that's speaking to 20 people, those seeds are being planted. And if you know how to do what I call create your own buzz and momentum around your message and around these showcases, you're literally activating that compounding effect. Can I share a quick example? Do we have a
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. So here's a simple one. This didn't involve anybody but me, but you might recognize if we're connected on Facebook, which by the way, if we're not, please let's make that happen. But I on Facebook have been cultivating my community, building relationships, building connections for, as long as it's been there, 20 years. It seems like it, right? 10 maybe.
Yeah.
And I put out a post that was very intentional, very value driven, but it was an ad. And 20 minutes after that post went live over the weekend, I had a speaking gig lined up because the right person saw it and went, oh, Shazam, I need somebody to speak on that at my event. And that's what happens. So that's one way in which these kinds of this authority trifecta starts to exponentially grow. You don't have to borrow someone else's visibility stream to get there, but it does help you jumpstart it and accelerate it.
And I love that you talk about the intentionality, because the opportunity isn't just the intersection point. It isn't about, this moment, this podcast, this short-term thinking. Because truthfully, you don't yet know where some doors will swing open, but you had to be present, thinking intentionally. I care, I want to expand, and I'm available for opportunities. You talk about some mistakes that we make. I'd love for us to dive deeper into that, because chances are I'm going to learn something and I'm prepared. So tell me what we're making now is a mistake that could be tweaked to gain a huge ROI.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you might want to grab a notepad or be prepared to rewind and listen to this a couple times, which is okay too. And let me just share how this has come about. I've been interviewing people for 15 years. Back then it was on teleseminars that we turned into CDs. We had a CD club, talk about OG, right? People were like, what is this?
You are totally the original OG. I love that.
But, and I've interviewed, we've done over like 800 interviews of people on my show. And what I noticed is there were people who would report back and say, oh, Melanie, Shazam, like I got leads from that. That was fantastic. And then I would hear from people, I've been doing this. I'm not getting any traction on it. And I would listen to how they navigated the conversation. And I was like, I don't know exactly what's going on. I know why they're not getting results. And typically what happened is one of 17 mistakes. I'm going to cover 3 here, but I'll share a little bit later, if it's okay with you, how people can get all 17, because I think it's a great self-assessment. The first one I already alluded to, which is they're winging it. And I can tell even the best, most sophisticated speaker, somebody who has a lot of brand recognition, when they're winging it, because there's no arc. There's no relationship between the different things they're talking about. And it's almost like they're just sharing some lovely stories that don't really go anywhere. And I had this moment. I was interviewing somebody who was like an 8-figure business owner. They'd been on shows, all kinds of shows, really big brand name. And I sat there when I was interviewing him. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to shame anybody or make anybody wrong, because this is a natural mistake. But this guy shared so many stories that had no point. And the stories went on and on and on and on. And I was like, how do I like wrap them up? Right. It's like,
how do I find a through line?
Right. And he was one of the ones that he said, so you're actually getting like revenue, you're attracting clients from the strategy. I'm like, yeah, like every podcast that drops, I'm getting at least one great client lead. Now that I'm really upping the ante these days. And sometimes that's not always the case, but there's always leads. There's always something that comes out of it. Right. And so I said to him, I said, do you want to know why? And when I explained what was going on, he's like, so mistake number 1, you're winging it. You don't have a through line. You don't have what I call the golden thread, where you're building interest. The minute people hear about your topic, you're building this connection with them and moving them through what they relate to. And third, there is an intriguing next step that they get invested in. So interest, intrigue, investment. Now, the second one that I think really plagues people is they think that they're being really catchy, and they know in their heart this is a really important topic, but their topic is generic gene. Right? I know you know this one.
Oh, I
Right?
know this one. I
Yeah.
recognize the first one too, truthfully.
Well, and I'm not saying you're doing this because your topics are really, I think you're probably fine tuning the topics, but because we receive so many pitches,
Yep.
we know when somebody maybe hasn't done their research and maybe isn't so good at the messaging side of it.
Mhm.
So one of the things I learned along the way is a relevant, really magnetic topic is going to get your bookings through the roof, and it's going to get more people to listen, and it's going to pull in the people who really need what you're about, and maybe even repel the ones that this is so irrelevant. They're like, this is not my thing, right? And that's what we want to do. So number 2 is your generic gene. Your messaging is not relatable, and so people cannot relate to you, and that may be why they're not following through and doing anything with you. So that's number 2. Number 3, and this one's always a tough one for me, Christine, because there's so many I want to cover and there's so many things that happen. But I think for this audience, probably the third one is you expect the host to do all the work. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's unpack this for a second. This is a huge, mind-blowing, game-changing moment for a lot of people. And I'm actually giving you a little sneak into one of my programs because I think it's worth saying. When you are a guest on someone else's show, yes, they're exposing you to their audience. That's how we borrow visibility streams. But a little known fact is that 90% of the traction you get will be in your audience. So yes, we do hope for people to come, and I can give you example after example after example of someone who heard me speak on someone else's show, reached out, binged my podcast, followed my authority trifecta, and then ended up booking a consultation with me within like 3 to 5 days of it airing. And most of the speaking, and sometimes people who are dormant followers wake up when they hear the right message at the right time, and they witnessed you on a powerful stage or borrowing influence from someone they respect in the industry, and they're like, oh wow, like Melanie's on Christine's stage, cool, right? It's like, okay, maybe I need to be listening because I really like Christine. I like what she's about. I never heard this thing that Melanie talks about before. Now you are borrowing influence from your host and showcasing it to your community and boosting the listens because these people already know you on some level, but they have been deactivated, right? They're desensitized. They're not really listening to anything you're saying. One great interview, one great conversation can wake them up and get them to lean back in.
I think that's I'm so glad you picked that, because one of the truths I see in my business, I for sure definitely see pitches that are so generic. And I'm like, so what is the really simple question to be asking? Where are you leading me to? And that's the point of movement. We say we're here for the long culmination of the compound effect. Where are you leading me to? And I also see the approach that people say is, I'm not sure where I'm going with this. Where is the through line? And even more importantly, when we turn around and say, do you do all the heavy lifting? I'm always shocked that people don't invest the relationship with the host, with the audience. And so many times I've had, past clients have gone, I needed a bit of a wake up call and I caught your most recent episode. Or, oh, I didn't know you knew them, but I know them. And this is what really landed for me. I've heard it before, but today I was in the right place, the right time. It really shifted and it's lingering. Can we have a conversation? And I think sometimes when we get into $1 million visibility, we think it's about the immediate sale.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we celebrate that, but it is the nurturing. It is the relationship. It is having the courage to have an opinion, to know that the right people will find you.
Yeah.
And you do not want everybody, and you do not want to be on everybody's stage. Being targeted with intentionality, saying we share something common, makes us both sizzle with supported substance.
Yeah.
That's where the magic happens.
You're articulating this so powerfully, and I love the way you're experiencing it. And the way I see it is there's 3 really significant waves that happen from each showcase. The first one is, yes, you're attracting clients, you're attracting leads. That comes from your audience, comes from their audience. The second wave is what happens when other hosts, other speaker bookers, other event planners hear it and they invite you to be on more stages. But the third wave is what happens with the host themselves. And that you just like, I love that you brought this in because it's actually one of the mistakes, but I was like, oh, which one do I pick? So this is another one. It's like, you don't use the green room. You don't have a conversation with the host and explore what else is possible. Whether you like do some referrals or you recognize there's something else here. I have hosts who have become my best friends who we've like booked each other on stages over and over and over again. We refer each other to hot events, and we are constantly looking for what else can we do to collaborate together. So I think it's that exponential growth has to be like, you have to recognize this is not a one-off transaction, right, Christine?
Yeah. Please don't treat it as a hit and run.
Yes.
Please don't. There's enough of that in there and it's not effective.
Like I call them a one-night stand, right? It's like one-night stands. But so many people treat it that way. And I think you're really missing the potentiality. And that's why you're not monetizing. That's why you're not getting to those $1 million levels with your impact, is because you are not seeing the true value of this kind of relationship.
Yeah. And sometimes, my friends, that means slow down the volume to do better with the individual opportunities. I know one of my very first guests that was unknown to me in this platform still reaches out to me saying, I think there's ways we can collaborate. I still think I need your services, but more importantly, I think my clients need your services. And that's showing you the longevity again, being in it for the compound effect. And so I want to ask you, because I ask every guest that comes onto the platform, to amplify what's working now. What's working in your business to get in front of your new next buyer? And what messaging is landing right now for you personally in your business?
What message? Well, let's start with that $1 million visibility. I, for a few years, called this something very different. As a matter of fact, if you ever go back and hear some of my older, like 5 years ago during the pandemic, I was talking more about how to like leverage podcasts. And all of a sudden, especially once the pandemic kind of closed its door, or I guess it never really closed its door, but the intensity of that shifted, I realized like, okay, it didn't have the same impact. It wasn't having the same reach. And I was working with a mentor of mine, and he's like, Melanie, what you do is you're borrowing $1 million visibility. He goes, heck, you create $1 million visibility. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. And as soon as I started talking about it, the fire, like more speaking, so many interviews. And I'm so grateful because this is something we forget, is be relevant right now. Be willing to lean into the message that's evolving. Don't get so attached to what you're doing that it can't evolve as the market needs it to evolve. So that's what's working right now from a message. And what's working right now from a lead perspective is literally this. I'm on a stage. I'm getting clients. I'm on a really wonderful high profile stage like this, a platform like this. There's people that are citing and going, hey, I think I might need to work with you. I think probably my top 3 are virtual summits, live events speaking, and this right now, what we're doing. And it's not about being visible. It's about having the right message in front of the right audience at the right time.
Yes.
You gotta get all 3 of those pieces in place.
I couldn't agree more. And I will tell you guys, everyone who comes onto the stage, of course, is somebody I really respect in the world of business. And when you are ready, I want you to go find them. So, Melanie, how do people come and find more about the $1 million visibility, the work you do, and just generally how you can help them cut through their BS to make a lot more impact?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, we can always connect on social. So wherever your social is, I'm super active on LinkedIn and Facebook. But I actually have a resource that I think would be a great place to start, especially if you're thinking about really activating this $1 million visibility and oh, I think I'm making some mistakes. I think I'm leaving money on the table. I have put together all 17 of the mistakes that guest experts make that cost them the lead and the client. And it's a scorecard. And it's absolutely free for you. If you go to melaniebenson.com/marketing message, So tied into what we're doing today, marketing message.
Love it.
You can download that as my gift to you. And I'd love to hear when you go through the scorecard, what do you discover about yourself? Okay,
and I love that because awareness is the first piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
As we know, people here on this platform are saying, I want to create more ripples. I want to create more impact. And guys, money follows that. I want you to have a great plan. I want you to work with cool people. I want you to find your people. And I want you to get louder.
Yeah.
We need to light it up and we need to be found because the seekers are lost in the dark. And I know with 100% certainty, your next buyer is out there. Melanie, thank you for being our guest. Guys, go find her, melaniebenson.com. We'll put this comment and get the link into the chat. Connect to this amazing human being. Thank you, my friend, for coming to play with me. Guys, if you really, truly want to be more effective, slow it down. Tweak, run, and play. Thanks for being here, guys. We will see you all on our next episode. This has been Amplify Your Marketing Message. Melanie Benson, my good friend. Go find her, go connect to her, go make it happen. We will see you on the next episode. See you later. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell-Rappin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit christinecampbellrappin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message. We'll see you all on our next episode.